Hello, welcome back to the Comic Book Report, episode 7, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, almost 2 months now, and now we're on the Immortal Iron Fist, Volume 1.
Yes.
Okay, and I read the first 8 issues, or chapters, whatever you call them.
Issues.
Issues, okay. Yeah, we're just going to talk about that. I think there's 16 in total in this volume.
Yeah, that's what we.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after that, we'll move on to Volume 2 and break that down. But first things first, I want to just say my overall thoughts. We can get into some of the characters or whatever. I wrote down 3 pages of notes, so hopefully that'll help me
3 pages.
articulate my point better. So first 8 issues, it had a slow build, and obviously I can't make a true assessment of the story because this is just the beginning. They introduced a couple of characters, multiple Iron Fists throughout history, and I'm interested in what direction they're going with that. And the premise from what I'm getting so far, like the main story, is about a guy who has these powers, and he's learning about the responsibility and what it takes to truly be the next Iron Fist.
Yeah, more or less.
All right, and with that, it might seem, yeah, it comes with great power, comes with a great responsibility, and that probably is overdone. But I felt here it was has a different twist because in what it's wrapped in, Chinese mythology. I don't know much about Chinese mythology, but I could tell if I would enjoy it if I knew more about it, because I think that's what most of the champions are based off of, right?
Yeah, well, Chinese, East Asian in general.
I thought it was just China because he said it was in Kunlun,
Yeah, Kunlun.
which is the mountains, yeah. But it's a mythological city in the mountain.
But like, yeah, China, Tibet, that whole.
Oh, that whole place? Okay.
Yeah, just that in general.
Alright. Do they call it, I wanted to get into this because whenever somebody says mythology, I'm like, do they believe it as like their own thing, like as like almost a religion? Like, do they believe it's real? Because I think it's disrespectful to call it mythology. Or do they just know?
I think it depends on what you're talking about. Like, in some instances, people have believed it as a religion. Like, with Greek, Roman, and Norse mythologies,
Mhm.
those were religions at one point, and they might still be practiced today, but not widely.
Okay.
As far as China, I guess it depends on like which aspects of it you're talking about being mythology.
Well, well, I'm just trying to go for, the direction I'm trying to take it is, do they use it as allegory, as storytelling to teachable lessons and stuff like that? Or do they believe it as, these things actually happen and they teach you these lessons?
I'm not exactly sure.
Okay.
Do you mean like in the real world?
Like in the real world, yes.
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Because I don't know. 'Cause I think Westerners, they mainly call it mythology, and I just think that's disrespectful, so I try not to. But then again, I don't know what to call it. So, anyways, yeah, and they had a lot of different storylines within that. The main character that we're following, his name is Daniel Rand.
Daniel Thomas Rand. Yeah.
Thomas Rand, and the guy who came before him was Orson Rand.
Randall.
Yes.
Randall.
Are they? They're not related, obviously.
Not technically, no.
So why they made it so close?
Orson Randall is like Danny's grandfather of sorts.
Okay.
Because he not raised, but he was a paternal presence to Daniel's father.
Mm-hmm. Wendell, right?
Wendell. Yeah.
Wendell, okay.
Back in the day. So it did throw me off at first. I was like, okay, these are kind of close. I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that. But they're not blood related.
Okay.
But they are connected through more ways than just the Iron Fist.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, the main character Daniel, he's learning in the way. I don't know for how long he knew that he was Iron Fist, but it seemed like he's just starting to.
Oh, he's been the Iron Fist for like a few years.
All right, right. He's still learning though, right?
Yeah.
That's what it seemed like. He's learning about the history, and he thinks he knows more than he does. And Orson is there to tell him like you need to listen and stuff. And as he learns more through flashbacks, like the flashbacks, I guess, are him reading about the history. Is that what it's supposed to be? That's what I thought it was. So yeah, he's learning more about it as he reads, and we see through the flashbacks, and we're learning with him about the history of the Iron Fist, which I thought was pretty cool because you're growing with the character. It's a nice way to do that. Yeah, I really enjoyed the stories of the flashbacks themselves, and I wonder Do they go in more in detail with each character?
Not from what I've seen, but I still haven't read volume 2,
Okay.
so I don't know if they like tie that up there. But most Iron Fists don't have this luxury. There's there's only one Iron Fist at a time. Orson Randall is supposed to be dead. Should have been dead a long time ago.
Okay. That's what I
And
was
he
thinking.
went missing, so I guess they just like assumed he was dead. He abandoned his post, and so they needed a new Iron Fist to be the defender of Kunlun, to be the champion of Kunlun. And so when Danny was a child and he was left there, he was, lost in the mountains. He made his way there. That's what I was thinking. Became the Iron Fist. There was a big thing. And so he's never had the full power of the Iron Fist. He's always been sharing
Up
it
to
with.
this point, or he will never have the full power?
Up to this point, he has never had the full power
Okay.
because he's always been, well, in this story, he's always been sharing it with Orson, whether or not he knew Orson existed.
Yeah.
So everything that we've seen Danny do is not anywhere near what he can do. It's nowhere near his limits.
All right.
So that's more of what the story's about. Is like there's more to it than he's had. There's more. He can do more than he has been doing, and so he needs to like learn how to harness it more fully.
Okay.
And get the full experience.
So that's like the overview of my thoughts. I like it. It's building. Take for what it is. We're building something nice. I think it's going to go a good place. Illustrations, I like it. They're great. They did a good job of, the video you sent me. I watched it, and I noticed what they were doing with, like, after I watched it, how in one panel they used like the position of panels and spreading drawings out in certain places, or having certain text boxes in certain places to put emphasis on what he's doing or what people are saying. I'm like, yeah, I picked up on that. I thought that was just a coincidence because I didn't know people wrote for the position in the comic book. I thought they just wrote, and then wherever it falls, it falls. I'm like, oh, there we.
They planned this out very specifically.
That sounds very hard because you're writing a script and then you have to look over the placement of everything, then organize with the illustrator, and then do it a bunch of times to see if it works. So I see a lot of work went into this, but the drawings themselves are pretty good. I like how it wasn't too gory because I mean they had one scene when the British were invading. This was like, what's the chick's name? I forgot her name. But she was the queen pirate of Pinghai Bay. I think that's
Yeah.
I forgot her name though. And they were invading, and I think it was the British, and they were getting like bombed and stuff, like they're exploding, body pieces falling off. It had the effect of the body pieces falling off without being, excessively gory, which I appreciate. But yeah, that really gave me, the video you showed me really even greater appreciation for the storytelling within this genre, taking advantage of all of that. Where do you want to go from here? You want to talk about the characters or break it down like chapter by chapter?
It's up to you.
All right.
What was the last thing that happened that you remember?
The last thing that happened was, I'll look in my notes, it was number 8. It was titled Capital Cities of Heaven, and this was where the 7 champions of the heavenly cities were in. They're about to be placed in a tournament, and somebody got randomly drawn to fight a bunch of like scrubs for the whoever's hosting this thing's enjoyment. It was
No, not Dog Brother. Fat Cobra.
Yeah, Fat Cobra. He crushed a bunch of plebs, and then at the last panel was the tournament bracket, and Fat Cobra, since he was able to be so impressive and beating up all those people, you're like, you get to choose your opponent. He chose
Danny.
There you go. He's and there is describing him. He has size, he has shrink, and he has a lot of speed and good technique. Doesn't seem like he has any weaknesses. Obviously, he has to have a weakness. So yeah, Danny is going up against a very tough opponent, and that's going to be the start of chapter 9. I'm looking forward to that because I love tournaments.
So you haven't even hit the meat of the story, like the real purpose of the Immortal Iron Fist run.
No, I did not. But I mean, it's a lot though. I don't know how many pages that was, but that was a lot. I'm guessing number 8 wasn't halfway through the book. Like I don't think it was halfway. Because isn't there more than just the 16?
Yeah,
So yeah.
there are a few. There's a Civil War issue
Ooh.
that covers up, because this came right after the Civil War event, which was a big deal, and something we will probably cover at some point.
All right. Is all of that in here? So I could read that
No,
later?
just the one issue.
All right. So, yeah.
And there are a couple of other, like, not necessarily part of the Immortal Iron Fist run, but they're like, they feed into it in some way or connect to it.
All right.
Something.
Well, that's where I left off. In the beginning, it was, well, let's just go over the characters. The guy named, he had like a serpent tattoo on
Steel
his,
Serpent.
yeah, Steel Serpent.
Davos.
Davos, that's his name. And I was curious, because I thought they said they're going to have one Iron Fist, and then immediately I see two. And then the guy had like a partial Iron Fist type tattoo without like the serpent without the wings.
The burn of Shallow.
Okay. That's after they fight him. That's how you get the powers,
Yeah.
right? Alright.
They stick their hands in a metal brazier
Mm-hmm.
that has his molten heart.
Ooh.
And then they hug him, and he burns that mark on the one guy's chest.
Hug him, but so your goal is not to kill
Like
him.
when they're fighting him, they.
Okay.
But how it worked with Dan, it was like he was grappling him, and that's how he got the burn.
And that's how he got his burn as well?
Davos?
Yeah.
I don't think he actually is an Iron Fist. He's borrowing the powers.
Yeah, from the sacrifices of those women?
Yeah.
Okay. That's weird. The Iron Fist doesn't have to use other people's powers.
No.
And do the other champions have to use other people's powers, or it's just...
No.
So what's the point of having a guy who needs other people's power when you just find someone who doesn't need to do that?
He wanted to be the Iron Fist really bad. Like, he was training with Danny to attain that power.
He was his sparring partner.
And he failed.
Oh.
Because he's a little bitch.
Oh, don't say that. He's going to come back and get us. Yeah, but he was interesting. Wasn't he the guy, like... Maybe this wasn't him. But I thought he was the guy trying to find Orson.
No.
That's not him.
That was John Amon.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a different person.
You will. He's amazing. He's pretty fun.
Alright.
You'll find out about him later.
Well, let's start from number 1 then. We start from a guy named Bei Ming Tian. He's Iron Fist circa 1227.
Oh yeah, these are all the previous.
Yeah. So I guess to just introduce, I don't know what the significance is, maybe you could tell me, but he was basically, he had like 2 pages and his mom got ate by wolves to sacrifice, she sacrificed herself basically so the family could leave, I think. Then we jump to Daniel Rand, and he is the head, or the co-head of the Rand Corporation?
Wait. Daniel's mother sacrificed herself to wolves so Danny could live. I do not remember that happening to a previous Iron. Because they never went into the childhoods of the other Iron Fists. They just had like 1 or 2 page things.
So maybe that's... So this is all him?
Yeah, this is Danny.
Oh, I thought it was this guy.
No.
Okay. Oh, whatever then. So that's him. I didn't know that. So what else is his childhood about then? Like what else is...
Nothing much really. I mean, he goes on... His dad wants to find Kunlun because his dad had been there for some time.
Dad dead right now?
I think his dad's dead.
How'd he die?
He was hanging on a cliff.
Nice.
And he was his business partner. What's his name? Crap. I can't remember his name right now. Meacham. I can't remember his first name. Meacham. Harold Meacham. That's what it is. Harold Meacham could have saved him. Because it was Daniel, his mom, his dad, and Meacham were trying to find Kunlun because his dad's like, hey, it'll be fun. I'll just bring my kid to the mountains. It'll be perfect. So his dad falls off the mountain, or is thrown off, depending on how you look at it.
Alright.
Because Meacham betrayed him, as you do. And then Daniel and his mom try to escape. they get attacked by wolves. Daniel's mom throws herself to the wolves to save Danny, and Danny somehow winds up like at the doorstep of Kunlun, basically, and he gets found by 2 monks. And then from then on, his childhood is a life of fighting, just all the time, constant fighting.
And so the people of Kunlun, they cultivate and train the Iron Fist. It's not some this guy that shows up. They make it whenever they need another one.
Yes.
Okay. So, so why didn't he give him that book that they were trying to find? Like, why does he not know the history of all the Iron Fists that came before him?
Because it's just not really something that they do.
This
Orson Randall had that book. I don't remember how he got the book, but it wasn't really something he was supposed to have. I don't think.
All right. So okay, after that little flashback, we jump to current day Daniel, which is in 2006, where he is the head of Rand Corp.
Yep.
And he's got Jaren Hogarth as his assistant.
Yeah. Jaren runs the day-to-day.
Yeah.
And Danny is just the face.
Yeah, the face. And Jaren seems, this, in the later issues, it seems like they just have a lack of communication, because one guy knows what Wago is trying to do, and Jaren Hogarth, he finds out a little too late. So the kid just told him, he's like, no, Daniel, like, I gotta do this by myself. And maybe an issue later, is like, maybe I should tell him. You know, as they have his mother captured. I don't know when that happened, because the person that's running Wago Corporation is just said, like he had a threat on Jaren Hogarth's mother and mailed Hogarth her finger. I'm like, huh. And then that scared him to doing the deal or whatever.
Yeah.
And Wago is the front for Hydra.
Yes.
And you're gonna have to explain to me what Hydra is.
Hydra is Nazis, basically.
Oh, cool.
They've been around since World War II, and they were a separate arm of the Third Reich, essentially.
And what's their point now? So, like,
they're just easy guys to throw into a story to have like a very clear bad guy to beat up.
All right.
They've always been not so much a joke, but they've been taken less seriously. Like, you know how Nazis are the default like video game enemy?
Yeah.
It's kind of what Hydra is for Marvel. Like if you just want to have a lot of people for your guy to beat up, just throw Hydra, because no one's going to object to beating up essentially Nazis.
Well, there's people behind those uniforms, so Sam, you know, empathy.
Yeah, but we don't know their names, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
As far as we know, there are no people.
Yeah, I guess you could be right, but I did see the guy when, like, one time he got his little glass over the eye broken. You could see a face under there. There was a human in there. Then he got his eye jabbed out.
There's one Hydra agent that we know. It's like Hydra Bob or something.
Hydra Bob?
Hydra Agent Bob, maybe. It was some like really just completely normal name. And you're just like, oh, okay. Maybe it was Dave. It was like Dave or Bob. Something stupid.
So who's the head of Hydra?
Depends.
On the story.
I think the main head is Red Skull. He's at least most commonly associated with Hydra.
Am I going to see?
No, probably not. Not in Volume 1.
Okay. Well, I'll wait.
Probably not in Volume 2.
Okay. Well,
Hydra does
wait.
not matter.
Okay. Well, then after we see, I think we see Hydra when Daniel breaks into the Wago Corporation building, and he looks like, oh, all this equipment, all these computers are pristine. Logos seem newly printed, but at the same time it seemed like no one has worked here in forever. And then he looks up, a bunch of Hydra surround him, and he gets shot at a million times, but somehow breaks through the window, falls through another piece of glass, is knocked out, wakes up, sees a nurse, and a guy named, what's his name?
You gonna find it, or you need help?
I need help.
Luke Cage.
Luke Cage. They kept calling him Luke. Okay.
Luke Cage and Danny Rand are best buds.
Best buds, like this.
Like if you had super strength and I was a billionaire martial artist with a strong fist, that would be us, basically. And if we were better friends.
Alright.
Because they're incredibly close.
Incredibly close.
Yeah.
All right.
Back in the 70s, they were failing. They were both individually failing characters. Like nobody gave any shits about either of them. And then they teamed them up for something called the Heroes for Hire,
Mm-hmm.
and their comic sales skyrocketed. At least like relative to where they were. So they've always, ever since then, they've been thick as thieves.
All right. Well, then when Daniel wakes up, he Luke is there with a bunch of Chinese food, give him some energy, and then he shows him this like piece of paper that says "Heroes for Hire" and has a picture of Daniel's girlfriend, a girl named Colleen, I think, and I think there's a third person on there.
Misty Knight, Colin Wing. I think there were 2 other people.
Yeah, I don't know who
Which
they were.
one? Searching.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's very
so
bad.
the nurse that Danny, you want me to talk about the nurse?
Yeah, go ahead.
She's kind of big. Night nurse. Since this is right after Civil War, and spoiler alert for like a 11-year-old comic at this point. Spoiler alert for the Civil War arc. Tony Stark wins. And so superheroes have to register with the government. And they basically become like public agents of the government.
Mm-hmm.
They can't really act on their own. They have to wait for government permission.
And since he's unregistered, he can't get actual health care.
If he goes into a hospital
Mm-hmm.
with bullet wounds and he's in like the Iron Fist getup,
Mm-hmm.
he gets unmasked, he goes to jail.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if you get shot during a bank robbery and like they trace you from the bank that you just robbed to the hospital,
Mhm.
they're going to arrest you. I mean, they'll wait for you to like not be dead because arresting a dead body doesn't really change much. Yeah, so it was Misty Knight, Colleen Wing. I think that's Black Cat. And then there are 2 other people who I cannot make out clearly.
Okay. Well, he made a. Come on.
Oh,
There you go. Yeah. Luke Cage said, yeah, they're working for freelance for the man.
Yeah.
Who's the man? Is the man
it's
like
Tony Stark.
Okay.
Well, Tony Stark and the government.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. All right.
But Night Nurse, that's the nurse that Danny gets taken to. She treats unregistered heroes like for free
Mm-hmm.
because she understands that they're doing more outside the law than they could within the law.
Yes.
Right now. They're doing way more than Tony Stark or any of his people, really.
Okay.
Because they're doing, down-to-earth, day-to-day stuff.
Yes.
Sure, like world-ending events, that's a big deal. You're going to want people on that. But most of that stuff won't affect everybody in the same way as, like, bank robberies, bodega robberies, murders, muggings, kidnappings, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And then, but later on, a couple issues later, like I said, Hogarth gets in trouble. They tried the Wago sends Hydra to capture him, I believe.
Yes.
And yeah, he's surrounded, but there to save him was the Heroes for Hire, or at least 3 of them. It was Colleen,
Wing,
Colleen, and Misty, and Luke.
Yes.
But Luke wasn't on that picture.
He's technically not a Heroes for Hire, but he's very close with Misty and Colleen.
Okay.
Misty and Danny.
They make sex.
Yeah, make sex. That's one way to put it. I think Luke and Colleen are kind of flirty, but Luke's just flirty with everybody. So.
Nice. My type of man.
Precisely.
And then he made like a really weird joke about Misty and Colleen. She was like, Misty was like, because Colleen was like killing a bunch of people. She like got her katana or whatever and starts slicing people up. And Misty was like, oh, I love that crazy white girl. And then Luke was like, y'all both should gay marry each other. And I'm like, what? No one says gay marry. Just say marry. And then Misty was like, well, then we don't get any health care. And then Luke was like, well, love hurts. And then Misty was like, I know. I know her something to that effect,
Yeah.
and I guess she's referring to the love with Daniel.
Yes.
Is their like relationship jeopardized by their work, Andy?
Yeah, you'll see.
All right,
And they work through it, but
like the strongest couples do.
yeah.
All right.
But
And
that's not the only thing that plagues their relationship.
yeah, okay. The bubonic plague comes back.
No, but there's a thing with the Iron Fists. None of them make it past
No, don't tell me.
a certain age,
Okay.
and that certain age is happening soon.
Fuck. Well, what happened? Because I still don't get this. If do they have like healing factors
Yes.
that can like lengthen their lifespan, like the natural lifespan?
Nominally, yes.
Okay. 'Cause I mean, I did see Daniel. He like healed his bullet wounds or some type of wounds by just focusing. He was meditating.
Focusing his chi,
Oh, it's cheap.
which is something he wouldn't know how to do if it weren't for Orson Randall.
Yes. Um. But then, so I guess that does add years because Orson, he was in World War One. To be in World War One, he had to be like at least 18 legally. So that means he was born like late 1890 or early 19. No, it had to be late 1890. So when he died in 2006, died. I don't know if that was real or not. He had to be like 95 or something. So I mean, I guess it is possible when you're living that type of lifestyle when you've been fighting since so young. Probably would have died by then, but.
Yeah, and it's not an old folks home, but it's that like group of older people that Danny goes to find, or have you not gotten there yet?
I mean, it's possible. I may have forgotten. Just tell me anyway.
There's a collection of older people like that worked with Orson Randall and Wendell, Danny's father, Wendell Rand.
Mm-hmm.
They were all part of like this group of vigilante type people in
Not having
the
that
early.
there.
Okay.
Okay.
But they're all really old, so it's probably more than just the chi that allowed Orson Randall to live for as long as he did.
Just one of the lucky ones.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, moving on, number 2, we jump to Wu Aoshi, which is the queen of the pirates of that lady we talked about, and we just saw her doing something. We get more into like she has like a whole issue devoted to her later, so we'll get more into that then. But then that issue, we come back to Daniel Rand, who then with all that stuff that we said falsely realized has that interaction with the nurse and Luke, sees the Heroes for Hire picture, and then issue over. Number 3, we go to Bay Bang Win in 1860, which was Opium Wars, or was that before? Okay.
Opium Wars.
And that was the scene I was talking about when defending and like people were blowing up and stuff and limbs are going everywhere. Very tastefully done. Thank you very much, whoever did this. Is it Brubaker?
Brubaker was the writer.
He's a writer.
Fraction and Brubaker, I think, were the writers.
Yeah.
Aja.
Thank you, Aja. Well, who are the other 3 people then? I always see extra names. What did they do?
They're also probably artists.
Okay.
I'd have to look up exactly who did what on this, because I can't remember.
Alright. Well, anyways, good job by you. But I remember who said this. I think we've been doing 29 minutes already.
Probably.
Wow. Who said this? I think it was Orson who said, "There's only shame in living life afraid of death," which I don't know. There's a lot of like honor stuff, like dying with honor, and at some points I think I forgot who it was, but he said, "Die for me, my darlings," or whatever. When it was, I keep forgetting the guy's name, serpent chest guy. Davos. He was talking to the Hydra and said, "Die for me, my darlings." And I'm like,
I don't think that wasn't Hydra.
It wasn't Hydra?
No.
Who was that then?
Pretty sure it was Crane Mother.
Alright.
This is a lot of lore.
Those people,
rich.
those people that were fighting the Orson and Daniel were a bunch of Hydra-looking people. In that fight scene, and he said, "Die for me, my darlings." He might have said it again at some point when given the sacrifices.
Oh yeah, the sacrifices. He gets his power from Crane Mother. That's what I thought you were talking about.
Yeah, but when he was ordering them to attack the 2 Iron Fists, he said it there. And I'm like, maybe you should be ordering them to do combat effectively instead of being, I don't know, mindless NPCs, peons that just get smashed consistently. And yeah, I don't know. I don't like that. We shouldn't be worrying about dying. Just do your job effectively, and if you die, you die. I mean, it's in the business. We shouldn't be looking forward to that. I don't know.
You got to the part where Orson Randall was confronted by two women in a hotel, right?
Yeah, happened rather early.
Yeah. Okay. There were people trying to bring him back to the Seven Heavenly Cities. They were trying to get Orson Randall to compete in the tournament.
Yeah, he's supposed to be the 8th man, or was there only gonna
He
be?
was gonna be the champion for Kunlun. I think
Oh,
they just
okay.
wanted him there, maybe to face judgment, because he deserted his post
Ooh.
and should have been dead a long time ago. So they're a little suspicious of that.
So what would they do to him when they
Probably
judge?
kill him. I don't know.
Mm, mm,
Find a way to strip him of his power,
mm.
because he dies. He dies, pretty sure, before that, before he gets back,
Yeah.
or he just never gets back.
Okay. Yeah. So that's the next time I was gonna talk about actually. We jumped to Orson Randall getting captured at an airport. He like hypnotized some guy to let me through. He said, "We saw that. You come with us." And then he gets in the cop car. You know, he does his cool little moves, chokes people, breaks necks, escapes, runs away.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. But then we jump to Orson in World War I, where he's in the trench. Everyone's dying. Nazis, no, not Nazis. They're German at the time. My bad, they're not Nazis.
Hessians or Ottomans.
Yeah. When did it stop being the Ottoman Empire? Like late 1800s?
Shortly after
Shortly after?
World War One.
Oh, it was that late?
Pretty sure.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it wasn't about that though. It was about his like mental fortitude in that moment. You got to see how strong he was and what made him so great. But well, he did have the Iron Fist powers in that though, because
Yeah.
it's his hands, the little flamey thing. What is that supposed to be?
Chi.
That's chi?
Yeah.
Well, how's that? What's it supposed to do? Like if that touched me, what would happen?
Depends on how it touched you and
Like-
how the user was focusing.
Mhm.
Because it really just it hardens your fist basically.
Um,
It makes your fist like iron, hence the name Iron Fist.
well, did not see that.
You punch harder, faster, stronger.
But do you kick harder though?
Yes.
What? Why? They should be called the Iron Men.
It's already a hero. Iron Man is already an Iron Fist just sounds better.
Yeah.
And more like a sex toy.
I'm about to say that Iron Fist. That probably exists. I may or may not look that up later. Anyways, we jump back to present day where Wago is buying a lot of Rand shares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hostile takeover.
Yeah. Not good. Then we get act 3. I mean number 3. No, number 4 actually. Let me skip all that. I do have some questions though about Hydra again.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't get it. Why does Hydra want to kill? Like, if you're Nazis, I don't see why you want to kill the blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy.
They're not exactly Nazis.
But they just
But
stock.
they're
You mean
basically Nazis.
they're just bad guys that you can put that everyone just
Yeah,
hates.
it's like how the Malfoys in Harry Potter are basically Nazis. I mean, it's not literal, but they're basically Nazis. We can all agree.
Okay.
They're basically Nazis.
Okay. And at the end of number 3, Orson confronts Daniel and said, "Oh, I taught your father." And then, yeah, move on to Act 4. They team up, beat up a bunch of people, like I said. And then I noticed that Davos was accepting a lot of sacrifices from these like uniformed, like they all like seem like copies of the same woman. Yeah, and it said, what's her name? Kunzi? No, Crane Mother.
Grandmother.
How did she get all those women? They're just regular citizens that she's feeding to this guy.
Yeah, they're citizens of Kunzi, which is the city.
Okay.
The city that he is a champion of.
And that was. Is that like a good guy thing or a bad guy thing?
What?
Him taking sacrifices, is that like something that's.
What do you think?
It's supposed to be the heavenly city, one of the heavenly cities, and that sounds pretty hellacious. I don't know. My morality, no good. So, I mean, that was basically that one. We move on to number 5, and yeah, Mr. Hogarth and Danny have lack communication. That was that one. Move on to number 6.
Mm-hmm.
How you're surprised at the 2 captures Hogarth. And you said Hogarth was supposed to be important to Daredevil, because you mentioned him in the last video.
Important in the Daredevil TV show.
In the TV show.
Important in the like the whole Netflix Marvel TV show universe.
Mhm. Then at the end of number 6, like I said before, that little like a fight scene between the Heroes for Hire and Hydra,
Mm-hmm.
and at the end, Davos kills Orson, and he wants to like touch my heart. He tells Diana to touch my heart or whatever before like I go away, and I don't think he did. Cause it never looked like he actually put his hand down and did something. Orson just kind of like went up into dust, went to heaven, I guess. Is he gonna come back and die again?
Probably not.
Um,
He's probably dead for good.
Probably.
Are you sure he went into dust?
He just seemed like it wasn't just a dead body, like it went away, like kind of like wispy, like
Okay.
it wasn't like dust, but
Yeah.
yeah. And then Daniel was super motivated to start killing stuff. And then we got to the story about the Pirate Queen of Penghai Bay, which I really liked. How do you feel about her?
None of that really. It was fun, but it didn't really do anything for me. Because it just. There were interesting stories, and they fleshed out the lore of the Iron Fist, because you get to see that it's a legacy.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't really do a whole lot with it. They really just had like 2 pages, 2 to 5 pages each.
I felt like it was more than that for this particular person.
Maybe it was.
It's
It's
yeah,
been a while.
I liked her story, and I felt like we can learn some lessons from it. Well, he can, you know when to fight, know when to calm it down.
Know when to hold them, know when to fold them,
Yeah, that type of stuff.
know when
Which,
to walk away, know when to run.
yeah, that's right before that though. It like you could tell right before that lesson was important because Daniel and Orson both admitted that maybe we should just stop fighting at some point because this is a little too much. And then Orson passes away, and then he learns a lesson from getting that. Because when they got in that fight, it was because uh, they were trying to get that book from that subway place, that abandoned subway.
Yes.
Yeah, he ended up getting it. Why was it there?
That's Orson just hid it there.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think that's what they wanted Orson for. They wanted the book because he stole it from Kunlun, and that's what Amon. Orson's not dead. I don't think Orson's dead. Or you've already met John Amon.
I haven't.
I think you
Not
have.
in the. Well, I've seen him, but I know what his name was.
Okay, because
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he interacts with Orson Randall quite a bit, and
Okay.
he's the green mist that's following them. Whenever you see a green mist, it's John.
Is it like subtle? I have to go look for it. Okay.
It's hardly ever subtle. Nothing they do is subtle.
Oops. Well, number 8, which was the last one I read, it's called Capital of the Cities of Heaven, which I basically said setting up that tournament thing, which I don't know, it seems pretty interesting. But overall, I liked what I read.
Good.
Okay.
There's a lot more of it.
All right.
It's like 4 videos worth.
Jesus. Well, it was probably like a 35-minute video,
Probably.
but I don't know. I feel like I had to explain all that to get all, because I don't want to leave any stones unturned, even though I probably left a bunch unturned, but at least it was more thorough this time. But yeah, it's hard to determine. I'm going to read the rest of this. And then we're going to move on to volume 2, so hopefully this pays off. So, any last words before I finish you off?
Didn't need to say it like that. Yeah, this is actually my first comic book. And it's one of the most lore-rich series I've ever seen, like in any medium. Almost as much as The Lord of the Rings, I might say.
I'm trying to think of something that has a lot of lore that I've read. But I don't read, because of my skin color. Comment, subscribe.
Yeah, black people don't ever read books.
You don't
Right.
have to. Oh my god. It's okay if I say it. It's okay if I'm racist against myself, but a white guy doesn't. No.
You can cut that part out.
I won't.